What's going on, guys? TurtyWurty here, and welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial for version 1.15. In this tutorial, I'm going to be going over a different way to register your items and blocks and pretty much anything in your mod. Now, I'm going to be using this new method from now on, so all of my tutorials from now will be using something called Deferred Registries. Now, I'm not going to get into the back end of Deferred Registries. I'm just going to go and show you kind of what you need to be putting. But basically, it's a one-liner. So Deferred Registries, it's one line for one item instead of object holders, which is like 2 lines, well 3 lines actually, because you also have to register the item blocks. So with Deferred Registries, you still have to register the item blocks, but I'm going to be going over a different way to do that as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is create our new item in it and block in it. I'm not going to use the same ones. I'm going to have a block in it new and a item in it new. So let's just call it block in it new and an item in it new. Now, if you watched my tile entity video, you probably already know how to set up a Deferred Registries, as in here we do use a deferred register for the tile entities, as well, for tile entities it's a lot easier, and it's also a lot easier for items and blocks, but if you still want to use object holders, that's perfectly fine, that's up to you, but I just think Deferred Registries is a lot easier, and I think it's worth my time going over that now. So basically you want first the Deferred Registry array list, so that is a public static final deferred register, and that's going to take in block, because item, we're doing items, so it's just going to take in item like that, and we're just going to call that items, and that is just going to equal to a new deferred register. And there's going to be some empty generics, and this is just the registries that you want. So you can just do forge registries dots. And then these are basically all of the things that you can register with a deferred register. So you've got activities, basically AI, biome providers, blocks, biomes, chunk generators, chunk statuses, containers, data serializers, decorations, enchantments, entities, features, fluids, items, memory modules, mod dimensions, painting, particles, point of interest in a village, potion types, potions is the effect and potion types is the actual potion, professions for villagers, recipe serializers, schedules, once again, schedules, what's the difference between I don't know, but that's stuff to do with villagers, I think, something like that. Sensor types, which once again is to do with AI, sound events, stats, surface builders, tile entities, and world carvers. But obviously I'm going to be using items, which is right there. But obviously, you can use it for all those different things, and it's pretty self-explanatory because it's pretty much the same for all of them. And then the mod ID is just your mod ID, so that's obviously tutorialmod.modid, and just make sure you import deferred register and item and forge registries, and it looks like we have an issue here What's this issue? We shouldn't have an issue. Cannot infer type arguments for deferred register. There you go. But I think we can have those empty, right? Can we not? I thought we could. Oh, also the issue is I spelled deferred register wrong. Yeah, you can have empty. You gotta make sure you spell deferred register right. I never spell it right. So, yeah. And then you actually need to create the registry objects. So that would be a public static final registry object, and that's going to be the object that you want to register, so an item, and that's just going to be well, for this I'm going to put def underscore item. Note this item is not going to have any textures or anything. I'm just going to leave it as an untextured item, which I do with a lot of my items because I don't have the effort to create a texture in this mod. And then that's just equal to items.register. And first is the registry name, so it takes in the registry name. So that's just going to be def underscore item. And this right here does not have to be equal to this. Just so you know, this can be totally different to this. This is just the variable that you call it by. And there is an underscore here, by the way. Eclipse isn't showing it for some reason, but there is an underscore there. You have to make sure you're using underscores instead of spaces. No capital letters, no weird symbols. I think the only symbol you can have is dash, slash maybe, and dot maybe. I think you can have those, but you can't have anything else really. So just stick to the normal kind of letters, and you can have numbers, I think. I might be wrong on that because I've never used numbers. But next is the supplier, so that is just like that, double bracket, dash and right arrow, and that's just a new item of a new item dot properties. And then you can do anything in here, so you can make it food or whatever. If you wanted your custom item, you could just do new speckle item and import that instead of item. Is that what we called it? Might not be what we called it. New sign item. No, that's not going to work because that takes in the wood type. What is going to work? Oh, I did actually call it special item. Well, there you go then. So you could do that if you want. I'm actually going to leave it like that for the tutorial because it's no different. And I'm just going to group it to show you that it is in the game, and I don't have to slash give it to myself because that's normally a bit of a issue. There we go. So that's how you make an item. Now blocks is pretty much the same, so I'm going to actually copy and paste this from the item, and I'm going to put it in my block in it. Now obviously the major difference, if Eclipse didn't do this weird formatting, which I don't want it to do, is obviously we're using blocks, not items, so you need to change item here to block, you need to change items to blocks. Forward registries dot blocks, a new registry object of block, and deferred underscore block, and that's going to be blocks dot register, and we're going to register def underscore block, and I'm just going to use a new block, but obviously if you want to use a custom block, you just change that to your custom block class, and obviously that takes in a new block. Well, no, it's not new, it's just block dot properties dot create, and then that takes the material, so material dot iron, for example. Just import all of those material, there you go, and boom, that's your block. Now obviously this block, you have not registered the item block, so that's going to be slightly it's going to be slightly of an issue. But the other issue is we haven't actually called these. So we've created them, but we haven't called them. So at no point are these actually going to be registered. Now to fix this, we need to go into our main class, and in the constructor, as you can see of the tile entities, we basically need to do the same thing here. So the first thing you want is item init dot or it's actually item init new dot items dot register, and that's just going to take in our mod event bus. And then you want block init, so it needs to be in the specific order. If you get it in the wrong order, you will have issues with it registering, as if you try to register a block before you try to register an item, then it will never have the item block, so that would be an issue. And if you registered the tile entity before you registered the block, then the tile entity wouldn't be able to find the block, so it would just get a bit confusing. So you need to make sure it goes item, block, tile entity, and in the future I will cover the order of the other ones as well. And then what else do we want to do? We want to have this is an event bus subscriber, so we need to obviously register our item in it, or our items. So what we can do with this is make a subscribe event, and we're going to call that a public static void on register items, and that's just going to take in a final registry event dot register, not quite like that, just dot register, and we're registering item, of course, and just call that event. Okay, and in here we want a final iForge registry, and that's going to take an item, of course, and we're just going to call that registry is equal to event.getRegistry, and then we can just do block init new dot blocks dot get entries dot stream, so we want to convert it to a stream, and then we're going to map it, so just normal map, so it's just a stream of R, and we're going to map it to registry object colon colon not new get, so we want to get it, and then for each, let's just import registry object, and then for each block, we're going to oh, I messed that up by the looks of it. Needs to be like that. Obviously we have a bit of an error right now, but that's fine. We can create a final item dot properties, and call that properties is equal to a new item dot properties, and then we can group it to our item group, so that's just tutorial item group dot instance, and just semicolon. I didn't put for each, I just put for, which obviously isn't going to work. There we go. And then we can create the final item block, or block item as it is named in this version. That's going to just call that block item, and that is going to equal a new block item, and that's going to take in the block and properties, import block item, and then we can do block item dot set registry name, and we want to set it to block dot get registry name, registry name, and then we can do registry dot register, nope, register block item, just like that. And then what I like to do is I like to use my logger, and then I like to do logger.debug, and we don't need all these parameters, get rid of those, and I'm just going to debug registered block items, just so that I know it has registered. There we go. So that, I know that was a bit all over the place. You can copy it from my GitHub if you feel like you need to, but there it is, and that should register your item blocks for you, so you will never have to register one yourself. If you want one to be special, so if you want it to have a special item for the block, you can do, let's see, there was a way to filter it. Was it here? Yes, you can filter it here, I think. I don't know. There was a way to filter it. I will have that in my GitHub just as an explanation of how you can filter it. Off the top of my head, that's not something I remember. Because obviously if you wanted a glowing block or a shiny block with the enchanted glint thing, obviously you wouldn't be able to do that using this unless you filtered it. So yeah, I think you filtered it after the map. I think you do something like .filter and then a new predicate block or something like that. As I say, off the top of my head, I don't really remember. But yeah, one last thing I would just like to go over is how you can actually get your new blocks. So you may just think it's as simple as just block init new dot def block, but as you can see, if I do block is equal to that, and just import block, you can see it's not going to work because it says that that is a registry object of block. So to fix that, you quite simply just put .get on the end, and it's basically the same with items. So item is equal to item init new dot and then def item, and it's as simple as .get. So just so you know, that's how you get them, and it's the same with tile entities, of course. So if we just go into mod tile entity types, we can use .query, and it's as simple as .get. If I just put tile entity te is equal to that, and import tile entity. Actually, that's a tile entity type, isn't it? So tile entity type. There you go. And obviously you can still get the actual tile entity from that, I think. You can do get registry type. No, I don't remember how you do it, but you can get the tile entity from that. But you shouldn't need to, because that doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys enjoy this, well, I suppose I'll load into the game and show you it actually works before I end this video. So let's just run the game, and I will show you that it does actually work. So I'll see you guys in the game. Okay, so guys, I am now in the game. As you can see, we have, oh god, leave. Right, as you can see, we now have the def block, and obviously I can place it down. Voila, it's a block, and we have the def item, which as you can see is red. It's nice because it's using my special class, and when I click it, obviously it turns into rain, and if I keep right clicking, it gets darker rain. That's the thing, it's shiny, woo, because it's inheriting the special block stuff. It's interesting, and off it goes. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this simple tutorial in upgrading your registries, then please be sure to smash face into that like button, and subscribe as well. If you really enjoyed, please do be sure to share it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.